Here I'm going to be showing you how to color grade log images, which is one of my favorite types of color grading because the before and after results are just shocking. So I went to this clip, it's a slow motion clip at the beach, and everything is filmed in perfect exposure because I made sure in the camera that everything was filmed at good exposure. And that's also a really important part about color grading, is that if you're filming yourself, then you really need to make sure that everything is filmed with the good exposure, with the good white balance, with good video settings in general, so that you just make your life easier when it comes to color grading. What do you need to do here? I would just get rid of the clips. I would also get rid of the gallery so that we have a big room to play around. So to convert this file into Rec 709 into a normal looking image, we need two nodes. So one node would be in the beginning and another node would be in the end. Let's say we need three nodes. This is for the LUT, which we might not or might use in this chapter. Here what we would be doing is we're gonna be doing color space transformation. So color space transformation is a way in DaVinci Resolve to transform the colors from one color profile to another. And our goal here is to transform this is shot on Sony camera in S-Log3. So our goal here is to transform the S-Log3 image into Rec 709, which is a normal looking image, which is the image what you are seeing right now as I'm talking to you. So you go in Effects, Color Space Transform, and then I would just drag and drop here. Then what I would also do, I would also color space transform on this node and then here. So you can see this FX. So FX means that I have put some effect on this node. And I would just label it, say CST1, color space transform 1, and then here as CST2. What do we need to do? So remember we did some color management settings here. So this should be your color management settings, otherwise it wouldn't work. So this is really, really important, okay? It should be like this: DaVinci YRGB, DaVinci YRGB, DaVinci Wide Gamut Intermediate. And if you're a Mac user, Rec 709A. If you're a Windows user, do Rec 709 Gamma 2.4. Yep, I didn't change anything, so I would just cancel it. In CST1, what do you need to do? You go back to Effects again. So now the list of effects is here. You need to go to Settings, Input Color Space. So my input color space was the color space from my camera, which was the Sony S-Gamut 3 Cine. When you're editing something and if you have any footage, you really need to make sure that you know what format your image or your videos were shot at. So we will do this, nothing changes. We go Input Gamma. We do Sony S-Log3. So that's input, yeah, because that's what was in the camera. The image looks like a disaster, that's fine. Here we're going to be doing output color space, DaVinci Wide Gamut. And here we're going to be doing DaVinci Intermediate, because that was our output gamma. That was our settings here in the color management. Timeline color space is DaVinci Intermediate. And then, so we made some settings in the color space transformation here. So you can just check again if this is all the settings you have. And then we're gonna be, doing all the exposure, all the color changes and everything in between these two nodes. So in between the CST1 and CST2. So all the color correction would be in between these two. Yeah. And then in this node, the CST2 node, what do we need to do? We go to Effects again, and here we're going to be doing is Input Color Space. So here the output color space was DaVinci Wide Gamut, DaVinci Intermediate. Here we're going to be doing the same names as the input color space. So we're going to be doing DaVinci Wide Gamut, Input Gamma, DaVinci Intermediate. And then output color space is our desired color space, which is Rec 709. Yeah, so you just search for Rec 709, go click here. You can see a little bit of colors on the, on the image, which looks a little bit natural. And here we're going to be doing is we go to Gamma 2.4. If you're Windows users, you might have chosen Gamma 2.4 in the color settings. And that is why it is important. So you see, our input color space was this because that is the output here, and then we have exact same. So just copy exact same settings, and now you can see that our image transformed from this to this. So this looks like a normal looking image. But now your question would be, why do we even film in log and then do all of these things? Because say for example, your image was a little bit too bright or a little bit too dark, then, and if you have filmed in log, it is easy in that case for the image to bring them within these lines. So, you know, like in simple terms, you can just push the image a lot when it's filmed in log. You can do some crazy heavy color grading and the image wouldn't fall apart. So that's why you should film in log. But if an image was filmed in Rec 709, which is this clip, this is just a stock footage, I wouldn't be able to push this image or go crazy on this image as I would be able to go on this image. So that's why you should be filming in log. That just gives you a lot of dynamic range. So dynamic range in simple terms is that the more the dynamic range of the image, the more you can, you can do some heavy color grading or you can do some crazy changes on the image. So that's why, yeah, you should be filming in log. So here what we did was, so that's the thing with the log footage, there is an additional step. So all the Rec 709, you just start with white balance, exposure, everything. This is the first step for the log. So what are we gonna do? How did we start here? We start earlier was with white balance. I will just maybe bring the CST node up here. Second row would be just the color correction, and this CST node would be down here with the LUTs. Then we go exposure. Then we go maybe saturation. Okay. But now let's also look at this parade here. Let's go before and let's go after. So you see, by doing the color space transformation, we have expanded the colors a little bit of this image. But as you can see here, there's so much more room to play around. So what are we gonna do? So I don't think I would be doing any changes in the white balance. I would just go to the exposure. And what are we going to do? We go up here. So you see this point. So this point kind of is peaking in all the colors, and that is except for blue, not too much, and that is depicting the shorts and her face because they are the brightest thing in the image. Other things are still in normal picture, in normal brightness level, but we're gonna still push it and see how much we can push it. Let's go a little bit higher. I forgot to add the HDR, and then I would go to HDR node and then I would reduce the highlights to see how much we can push back. So what did we do with these two nodes? There's before and after. So you can see how much brighter we can make an image, which is crazy. And then we go back to exposure because I feel that the blacks are not really blacks. You can see it's lifted so much. So we're gonna go to the primary color wheels and bring down the lifts. So now you can see we are kind of expanding the color wheels, bring down the gamma a little bit. So I can also see the gamma is pushing the entire brightness back as well, you can see. So we can push the gain again. So that's the thing. It's always about playing between this gamma, lift, and gain curves. I wouldn't let the gamma go so down, maybe just leave it here, maybe just bring the blacks back and also increase the shadows a little bit. I also feel that the image is becoming a little too harsh, so I would just increase the gamma a little bit, maybe reduce the gain, reduce the highlights a little bit. So we went to the next node. And we'll go before and after. So you can see just like what is highlights doing. All the whites, it is kind of taking care of all the whites. So yeah, that's how the image looks after we did some exposure adjustment. And what we can also do right now is, so we did exposure, SDR, now maybe we can increase the saturation. Or maybe, yeah, let's just increase the saturation a little bit and see how it looks. So we go to color space, we go to HSV, and then get rid of the channel 3, and then here. We can increase the saturation a little bit, gain go up, gamma go up. So now you can see before and after. So the image already looks really nice. So this was color corrected. So if we just go before and after, you can see how much crazy change we have made in our image. After saturation, maybe we can do the hue versus hue. And I would also show you some different graphs as well. So let's go hue versus hue. We go here, and if you want to change the color of the blues, we go here, and you go up a little bit. Maybe if we wanna see the color of the skin, if it's falling on the vector scope, let's go to parade, let's go to vector scope. I think it should be fine. We need to toggle on the skin tone indicator. I think it is fine. If you wanna make sure about it, then you go here, go click on the skin, and then go here. So here you can see that the skin is falling on the skin tones, how it should be. So I'll just go Control Z. So the skin looks really nice. We're gonna be going to the curve, and maybe the sand, we can make it a little bit reddish, really tiny bit. So that's the thing, you don't have to play too much. Maybe also the watercolor, I can maybe increase the entire blues a little bit up. So if we go full screen before and after, so you can see there's a slight change in the color of the blues and the color of the sand. We don't want to do anything with the skin because it looks really good. What we can do here is we can also play with some other curves, which is hue versus saturation. So this curve is basically kind of changing the saturation of specific color. So if I go click on the blues here, you can go, then you can see the exact same thing, and you can go up and down. So that would increase or reduce the color of the blues. Maybe I want it to be a bit, a bit saturated, so that can look really nice. The sky is popping, that is good. And then here we can also do is hue versus luminance. So what is hue versus, so hue versus hue was a curve which would help to change the colors of certain color. Hue versus saturation curve is a curve that helps to change the saturation of specific colors. And hue versus luminance is a curve that would help us to change the brightness of certain colors. So let's go click on the blues again. And if we go a bit higher, then you can see the blues are getting a little bit brighter. And if we go low, you can see the blues are getting a little bit, darker. There's a bit more details coming. So that I really like. So maybe I can bring the luminance down. Maybe also the sand. I have a feeling I would just go like this to bring the luminance a little bit down of the yellows. And let's go full screen and see what did we do with the curve. So this was before, this is after. There's a really subtle change before and after. There's a really, really subtle change, and the image already looks really good here. So you can just stop everything and be happy about your life. Everything looks perfect. But of course, we want to experiment a little bit more. So what are we going to do now is that I also want to maybe put the windows, so that I want the subject to be the brightest and the surrounding, or maybe not, because I already feel that the subject is brighter and the surroundings are not that bright. So I think let's just leave it like that. So that's also a thing, that just because you know how to do some things doesn't mean you have to implement that in all the images. So yeah, that's really important. And now maybe let's try to put the LUTs. So let's go here. This time we're going to be doing the Rec 709 LUTs, and let's just hover around the LUT and see which one looks nice. You can play around with everything. If you want to go a bit more cinematic, you can go here. But my usually preferable LUT is the LUT 10. So I would just go double click, and here once I put it, I have a feeling that because we bumped up the exposure and we did a lot of contrast work, it's kind of ruining the image now. So if you go before, it is like this. If you go after, it is like this. So what we can do right now is we can kind of reduce the intensity of our exposure, or maybe just bring the gains down a little bit. So we're gonna go to parade, bring the gain a little bit down so that the image is a little bit softer. Shadow a little bit up. Yeah, and here what we also gonna be doing is maybe let's just turn off the saturation and see. The saturation looks good. Maybe reduce the intensity of the LUT. So that's the thing, as I told before, there's no one rule for all the images. You just need to know these techniques, and if you see an image, then you need to think that why is it not looking good? What's wrong? Like, I also haven't really perfected this art. I'm also learning day by day that, oh, because if I see my color grading 2 years back, it was very different than how it is now. And if I would see my color gradings 2 years from now, it would be very different than how it is now. So yeah, you have to learn these small tools and just look at the image and see what is going wrong here and how can I achieve the look what I want. How can I get closer to it and what changes I have to make. So yeah, here we go to LUT and reduce the key output, say here. Go before and after. So I can see everything looks perfect. So let's just go before and after. So what you need to do, you need to go Alt or Option D, go before and after. Look at this, how nice it looks. And if you wanna, put these settings on some other image, we go grab still. You can also put these settings on all the images by just selecting them. So you go press Shift, you clicked on this image, go here. And then, if I don't want here, then we go Command, this, select everything. Yeah. So maybe let's just, for the sake of this tutorial, we go to Gallery, we go Paste, Apply Grade here. So let's just get rid of this. I already see a big problem here. I see that the saturation of the reds is a little bit too much. So what are we going to do? We go to Hue versus Hue curve, and we go here to Hue versus Saturation. Maybe I can just bring this outside in some other node so that it's not confusing. So I would just go reds so that we are kind of making sure that we are taking care of the reds just in this node. So I would click on my jacket and that shows that the point is here. And if I want to bring down the saturation, that is kind of bringing down the saturation of the jacket. But I also want to make sure that it shouldn't bring down the saturation of something else. So maybe I would kind of close or make this gap or make this range as small as possible so that it is only selecting the jacket. That looks good. I think maybe we have to make it a little bit bigger. That looks good. And now if we want to play with the hue versus luminance, we can do the same with the reds. You just go click on the red and bring down the brightness. You see, if we go like this, that brings down the exposure. We go like this, it brings down the brightness. So if we go full screen, this was before and after. So you see, we have just changed the colors of the reds. And in this image, I feel that we really need to put the windows, the vignetting here, because the surrounding is same bright as the subject, which we don't want. So we're gonna just make here, just label it to windows and make a window around my subject. Go like this. You can also make it a little bit soft, make it a little bit bigger, a bit taller. So here in the beginning, subject was here. That was because of an effect what we did. So we're gonna be just going here just to see if we are doing everything good. And we can go to this main custom curve and then pull it from the center. So you see what mistake we did was we didn't invert it, what we should have done. So if we invert it, this whole darkness would be on the surroundings except for the subject. And I feel that maybe it's a little bit too harsh, so I would increase the softness and maybe increase this a little bit. And if you go full screen, this was before and after. So there is a subtle change, but that is still doing something. So yeah, if we go before and after of this entire image, go before and after. So you see how much changes we are making. And that also saves a lot of time if you are in the gallery and if you're kind of, you know, just saving the presets and putting that on any other clip. Let's go on this clip. So we go apply grade here. And in this clip, I see a little problem. I have a feeling that this image was a little bit warmer, but this image is not. So here what we are gonna be doing is we go to the white balance and we can change the white balance. So we go here, we can either go to the HDR node and change the white balance from here. So that's gonna make the image a little bit warm, you see? Or instead of just changing the white balance, we can increase some warmth like how we did before. So that we can do after the hues, or that we can do also in the end, because that warmth I want to put as an end effect, you know, even after the LUTs. So we go here, the offset, we can pull it a little bit towards this side. So you can see how nice and summer vibe it looks. So we go full screen. So we're just doing the warmth. This was before, this is after. You see how nice it looks. Like we didn't even do anything in this image, just a bit of warmth. So that's the thing, that if you're editing an entire sequence, you have to kind of go back to the clips or go to the light box here, what I showed before, and then you can see the images. Because if we put all these images together, I can see now that this image is a little bit bluish. This image is perfect warm, this image is perfect warm. So then we have to go in this image and then we have to bring some warmth. So we're gonna be just, bringing some warmth here. So go offset, and now if you go to Lightbox, you can see this looks pretty good as that. And that's how you can edit an entire sequence. So yeah, we learned a lot in this chapter, a lot of different things. So that's the thing with editing in DaVinci Resolve, is that once you start editing, then a lot of tools that comes on the way, and then you learn it along the way. So let's go to the next chapter, and there I would be teaching you how to utilize DaVinci Resolve's LUTs, because DaVinci Resolve also has some really cool inbuilt LUT, really cool film-like looking LUTs. So let's go.